Peace, peace. Yeah, this is something that I want to show y'all. And good thing I put it on here on my MeWe. See if I can find it. Oh, here it is. This is exactly what I want to play. And this is an example on white men not taking it anymore. I'll let y'all decide for yourselves how y'all wanna view this, but this is just I guess you could say a sample of what we're dealing with here. Without further ado, here's this video by Charlie Kirk.
The importance of understanding this issue, the issue of why the left hyper-focuses on racism, cannot be overstated. It's all the other issues that they are trying to accomplish. They use this issue as a shield, as an effective gateway to all the rest of them, whether it be on guns, on speech, you name it. Their most effective tool right now is everything is racist and it's working. Because we as conservatives, we as Americans, we don't know how to properly respond to it. I do, because I have stopped caring what they actually call me, because I know who I am and I know whose I am. For every Christian out there, you know what I mean by that. But they are not resting. I understand. I say this often, and the great Victor Davis Hanson, who we just did an entire podcast on yesterday, I encourage you to check it out. We have an exhausted civilization right now. We do. We have an exhausted civilization. But understand that when the history is written on this, there will be a moment of time that is written from 2008 to 2024. That will be called the window of populist, people-driven politics. Just understand that we're in a window of time. And your exhaustion started in 2008 with Barack Obama. Big promises, unifying, utopian vision. None of it delivered. Bitter, drawn-out conflict. Trump was a response to that. You were probably exhausted from that, whether you loved him or hated him. So we are now in the overtime period. Everyone's got their hands on the knees. They're exhausted. You say, I can't take it anymore. It's a question of who wants it more. I understand that people are exhausted. I get it. There's only a couple more only a couple more minutes left on the clock, and we might only have one quarter left to save the country and hopefully open up a new period where we can break out of this period of time when the left is just going for the jugular. They feel inspired, they feel convicted, and they think they are close to turning the corner. This is where we're at right now. It's so important for you to recognize this. And you're not going to get this opportunity again. Not one of the greatest mistakes, and I'm not a historicist, I'm not a Hegelian, but I am going to say this, and you can take it however you want. One of the biggest mistakes is to view every period of time equally. It's not true. Certain periods of time are more consequential than other periods of time. Moments of World War II were just more important than 1956. 1956 was a great year. It just wasn't as consequential as 1942. It wasn't. And the time right now is just going to be more consequential than the year 2006. And so since we have this exhausted civilization where people are gasping and they say, I'm just going to watch Hulu. I'm going to watch Netflix. I'm done. They know how they are going to do it. Their playbook is very simple. They're executing preemptive strikes. The preemptive strikes is we are going to take chess pieces off the board, personalize politics, and destroy their lives. We are going to call everything a racism public health threat for the 4 reasons that I detailed. It's undefinable. You feel good doing it. It's unquestioned because no one has the guts or the courage to stand up against it, and there's no timeline to fix it, so it's a perpetual power grab. The same way Mussolini got power, the same way Stalin got power, the same way Mao got power, the same way that Mugabe got power, the same way Castro got power. Create a crisis that only you can fix, make it undefined, no timeline to actually get it done, no sunset clause, and stay in power indefinitely. So, the question is, will the exhausted civilization, you right now listening, understand that this playbook is not just what's in front of us, it's actually amazingly beatable. This is all they got. Their ideas are unpopular. Their policies are not in broad support of the country. And there's a reason this is happening. They've grown impatient, and if we prevent them from being able to turn the corner, we're going to win bigger than ever before. If they turn this corner and they turn us into a one-party state like California or New York, then all of a sudden 10 years from now, you're going to look back and say, I wish I would have done more when I was exhausted in the overtime period of the last gasp of the populist-centered moment in America. You'll remember this time. So what are you going to do about it?
Damn, talk about going in. Talk about going in. That's right. What are you Caucasian folks going to do about it? I'll be damned. There's more of this stuff too. Hold on for a second. I'm something else I want to do too. Something else I want to look for as well. Patient with me. That's right. I used to have DuckDuckGo, but I don't. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Another one that I want to show you too. Here we go. This is my first time watching this, so.
If racism is such a pervasive problem, why do so many high-profile incidents turn out to be fake? Think about it. Jussie Smollett's faux MAGA hat attack, the Virginia dreadlock-cutting hoax, the NASCAR noose that wasn't, and the latest example comes from Albion College in Michigan, where a black male student has taken responsibility for racist graffiti that was discovered on campus last week. But the most bizarre part of the story is not what the student did, but how the college responded. Listen to this statement. They say, we know the acts of racism that have occurred this week are not about one particular person or one particular incident. We know there is a significant history of racial pain and trauma on campus, and we are taking action to repair our
community. Joining me now is Dinesh D'Souza, conservative commentator and filmmaker. Dinesh, what we do know about this case is that it was a 21-year-old black male who acted alone, yet it's a community thing, and the school is acting like this was not a hoax in the first place.
Yeah, if you step back for a minute and look at the incident, you realize how bizarre this is. First of all, you have to ask yourself, why would anyone stage a racial incident? If racism is a serious problem, the incidents would occur all by themselves. I mean, if you go back a century, blacks didn't have to stage lynchings because lynchings were going on. They had to fight against the lynchings that were very obvious to the naked eye. So I think what's happened on our campus is that racism has actually become extremely rare. On particularly progressive college campuses, people bend over backwards to accommodate minorities. And so it's almost like you have to apply a law of economics here. The demand for racism exceeds the supply. And since the demand for racism exceeds the supply, racism has to be manufactured in order to satisfy this demand. And like you say, it's not just the pathological behavior of the student who's obviously disturbed in some ways, but it's almost like the college, having been exonerated, is now pleading guilty to a crime which was actually committed by the kid who said he was the victim of it.
Yes. Well, it's also the deans of diversity and others who ultimately exist because of this pervasive racism, and if there isn't a supply of it, then what are they doing there in the first place?
So now that's the key point. There's a whole racism industry in place, and this industry exists to ultimately service the cause of anti-racism. So if there's not racism around, why do they exist? So as a result, this is why the college is pleading guilty, and there's also some sort of pathology on the part of even white students because they're very eager to plead guilty to crimes that they haven't committed. So it's almost as if there's a desire psychologically to dissociate themselves and say, listen, I'm not the racist. It's all these other fictitious or hypothetical other white guys who maybe can never be identified, but somehow the racism nevertheless sneaks through institutionally and has this effect on us.
Dinesh, real quick, on one other topic, we only have about a minute here. There's a bill that could lead to reparations proposals nearing consideration of the House floor, on the House floor. Are we at a point where reparations, sort of the end state of critical race theory, could be passed in the halls of Congress?
I think it's very unlikely that will happen. Now, there is a little bit of a precedent for it where Congress gave reparations to Japanese families that were interned unjustly in World War II. But let's remember that in that case, the reparations were paid to the actual families that were in the camps. In this case, we'd be talking about reparations for events which ended more than 150 years ago. It's a whole different matter.
Dinesh D'Souza, a very smart guy. That supply and demand thing, the more you think about it, makes a ton of sense. Thanks for breaking it down for us tonight.
My pleasure.
All right. Those are our examples here of white men not...
If racism is such a pervasive problem.
Excuse me for that. And, this is just strictly for educational purposes only, in order to project an opinion that everyone is not obligated to agree with, but it's just an opinion. But it's just an opinion to show how white men are not taking it anymore. So that's the basis of playing those videos. And one thing I would like to say, and it's gonna go against the grain. One thing I would like to say is these guys have a very good point there. I mean, the left is instituting an agenda. And the things that were going on in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, such as lynchings, are not going on today, are not going on as much today. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that racism is dead, but it's not as prevalent like it was back then. It's not as blatant like it was back then. And the fact that it's not as blatant like it was back then the left shouldn't be engaging in this type of propaganda. If you're going to say that racial incidents occur, it should be something. It should be based on something real, not based on not something that is made up, not something that is contrived, in which you use your media to do that. You know, that's the problem with the left, and there are Caucasian men out here, such as Charlie Kirk, who are not taking it anymore. And that is what I'm going to title this this video here. Yeah, I've been having a hard time trying to start up my screen recorder app. I think I found the method, but I don't know. It's like I put the title in there and then it doesn't start up. So maybe I will have to do it this method from now on. I almost forgot what method I used, but I'll figure it out. But yes, this is just the beginning of what I'm going to be sharing, and I'm hoping to do a video real soon on the many great resets we have had throughout American history, and how these resets have led to what we're going through today, and how history has been contrived. So history is not what we thought it was to be, which is why certain things have been blocked out throughout history. You know, because they don't fit an agenda. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I really want to say. Feel free to share. Feel free to like the video. And feel free to subscribe. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.